Good morning, everybody. My name is Keith Alfred Wynn, Assistant Director of Transfer Recruitment here at UK. I'm going to give it another minute or two just to allow people to come into the Zoom room here, and then I'm going to share my screen and do a presentation on transfer admissions at UK. So it's a pleasure to see everyone here this morning. And Misha has also put something in the chat for you all as well. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. Okay, bear with me 1 second here, folks, while I get this pulled up and shared. Okay, so I hope everybody can see my presentation. And one thing I do need to let you folks know, for some reason on my laptop, sometimes when I am sharing my screen, it doesn't let me see the chat box if there are any questions. So what I'll probably do is after this, when I unshare, I will go in and see those questions if any are written in that chat box, and I will answer them audibly rather than written. I'll just kind of go down them one by one. And the moderators, of course, are also free to answer any of those questions as well if they wish to while I'm speaking. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so a little bit about UK in general. So we have over 200 majors in general at UK. Now, of course, not all of those are online, but overall, UK has over 200 majors slash academic programs, a 16-to-1 faculty to student ratio. One thing I always love pointing out is that 85% of our classes have less than 50 students, 50 or fewer students. So there's a misconception that when you come to UK, you're going to be lost in a sea of blue, literally and figuratively. I always tell students that that's not the case, especially with transfer students, because transfer students, by and large, have completed some of, and in many cases, all of those general education courses. So when you hear stories about classrooms at UK with 300 or 400 students, it's not that those don't exist, but they are typically freshman level classes, you know, those intro to biology or intro to this or that that everybody has to take. So that's why those classes are so large. It's almost like, think of it as a pyramid. As you go higher up that pyramid, you know, it becomes smaller. That's kind of the way class sizes work at universities, right? So those freshman level classes a lot bigger. You get up sophomore, junior, senior, those classes become smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay. So regardless of what you major in at UK, your major will be housed under one of these various colleges here on campus. So as you can see, I'll use a couple of examples for online programs, okay? So we have an online Bachelor's of Arts in Social Work that is housed under the College of Social Work. We have an online communications degree, which is under the College of Communication and Information. We have the online RN to BSN, for example, and that would, of course, be under the College of Nursing. And so that's kind of the way those works. And we do have a brand new bachelor's in agriculture. It's an individualized curriculum, and that would fall under the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment, CAFE for short. So, regardless of what your major is, you will fall under one of those various academic colleges at UK. And keep in mind, not all of these colleges listed here have an online degree. So, for example, fine arts doesn't have an online degree, engineering doesn't have an online degree, public health doesn't, but some of these do. So, business and economics has an online general business degree. So that's what that looks like. Now let's talk a little bit about admissions in general. So if you are in this Zoom room and you're thinking about transferring to UK, let's say in January, like starting in the spring, you want to apply ASAP. Essentially, you want to apply as soon as possible. So that deadline there, as you can see, is November 15th, but I always tell students, don't cut it that close. Do not wait. Excuse me, don't wait until close to that deadline. Just go ahead and apply now. And that way you get admitted in plenty of time to get everything done for the January start. You don't want to stress yourself out by applying too close to that deadline. And the same definitely holds for next fall. So in fact, we have a lot of applications right now for next fall because that's open now. Um, you can apply today for fall of 2025. And in fact, I would encourage you to do so. The earlier you apply to a school, the earlier you get admitted, and that makes the entire process for you so much smoother and less stressful. You know, this will be my 5th year doing this at UK, and the students who apply early, it's smooth sailing for them. You know, if there are any hiccups, they've done everything early enough to where that hiccup is overcome. It's a weird analogy, but the hiccup is overcome in plenty of time, and they're still ahead of the game. It's those students who wait, for example, until next June to apply for next fall. We can make it happen, obviously, because they've applied before the deadline, but it really compresses their window and shortens their runway to such an extent where things can sometimes be a little bit stressful for them. Relatedly, another reason it's super important to apply early is you want to make sure to be admitted early enough to um, have fulfilled those admissions requirements for scholarship deadlines, because scholarship deadlines are not the same as admissions deadlines. Those are two separate offices. So if you're looking at next fall, the scholarship deadline, for example, is June 15th. That's in another slide here. I think it's June 15th. So if you wait until July 1st, as you can see, to apply, yes, you've met the application deadline, but you've missed the scholarship window. So apply now or this time of year for next fall or next summer or next spring, whichever those three you are thinking about starting in. So how to apply? A couple different ways. It really is going to depend on which of these two categories you fall under. So if you're transferring to UK with 24 or more college credits, then college credit hours, pardon me, we just need your application, college transcripts from all post-high school institutions attended, and a $50 application fee. Now, I'm going to show you here in a subsequent slide how to apply for free. There's a couple of free application days we have coming up where you can apply on those dates, which obviously I would highly recommend, and you save yourself the $50. The other category, as you can see on the left-hand side there, if you're transferring in less than 24 hours, the only thing that differentiates these two is we also need an official um, high school transcript as well. We are test optional, so that's up to you if you want to opt into having your test scores included or not. And as you can see there at the very bottom, as far as general admission into UK, you need to have a 2.00 or above once we calculate all of your grades to transfer into UK. Now, keep in mind, an important caveat there, that is for general university admission. Every academic college is different. So the College of Engineering, for example, they want a transfer student to have a 2.5 or above and have some specific prereqs. College of Education, it's 2.75. So the 2.0 can sometimes get you admitted into UK, but maybe not necessarily into your major if that is a competitive major. Keep in mind the vast majority of our majors are non-competitive. But that's just something to keep in mind as well. So if anyone in this Zoom has taken college courses while they were still in high school, that's called dual credit here in Kentucky. Every state has it called something different. In Ohio, it's called CCP. Um, Illinois, it's called something different. We actually would also need the transcript from that institution that granted that dual credit coursework as well. So transfer credit at UK. Keep in mind, there may be some changes coming, some positive changes from a student's perspective on this coming down the road. As of now, we accept a maximum of 67 credits from a 2-year institution. There is some talk that is going away. So That's not official yet, though. So I don't want to like delve too far into that especially if it's something that hasn't been implemented yet. But there are discussions of that credit limit going away, meaning theoretically you would be able to transfer in more than 67 credit hours from a two-year institution. But as of now, let's operate under the way things are now. It's 67 credits. The two exceptions are nursing and the MLT to MLS. And as you see there at the bottom, regardless of the number of transfer credits you have coming in, you do have to have 30 of your last 36 hours completed at UK. So if you're transferring from a 4-year school into a 4-year school, theoretically, air quotes here, theoretically, you can transfer in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of credit hours. However, no matter how many credit hours you're transferring in, 30 of your last 36 hours have to be here at UK. The main reason for that sort of rule, and every 4-year college in the country has this, by the way, some variation of this, that that means you can't transfer in 117 hours into a school that requires 120 hours for a bachelor's degree. Take one course at that school, one three credit hour course, and then boom, get a degree from that school. So you have to complete X amount of credit hours at a school to get the degree from that school. So that's the reason and the rationale behind that rule. Of course, you always want to fill out your FAFSA every year, no matter what. The reason I say no matter what, sometimes I will work with students who say, well, I don't want to fill out the FAFSA because my family makes too much money or my parents make too much money and I won't get any grants. Be that as it may, if you don't fill out the FAFSA, you also can't get work study, student loans, need-based scholarships and aid. There are so many other things that you could get, but if you don't fill out the FAFSA, you can't get. So always fill out the FAFSA every year, no matter what, without fail. There's no conceivable scenario in which filling out a FAFSA ever harms you. It's impossible. But there are multiple scenarios in which not filling it out can harm you. So just think of it that way. You never want to not fill that out. So for transfer academic scholarships at UK, it's important to note that these are only for students who start in a fall semester. Okay. Unfortunately, these are not available for students who start in the spring, and that's the same for freshmen here at UK as well. Academic scholarships are for students who start in a fall semester. They're often also available for students who start in the summer, but that it varies by year, depends on funding and things like that I don't want to bore you with. So it's possible for summer students to get transfer scholarships. It changes year to year depending on funding, but if you're starting in the spring, it's important that you know ahead of time that you would not be able to get any academic transfer scholarships in the UK. So you can see the various categories here. So I'll use two examples. So if you are, let's say, an Illinois resident and you have a 3.1 GPA, you can see that bottom category there, residency status, non-resident for the purposes of higher education means out of state. It just means that you're not a Kentucky resident. So you're an Illinois resident, you have a 3.10 GPA. So you can see here that you've met the minimum 3.0 GPA requirement. You would get 4,000 per year per up to 2 years, provided that you were admitted before that scholarship deadline, right? It's another reason to apply early. If you apply now and you get admitted, let's say in that first batch of fall admits, which generally happens for students applying now, you would probably get admitted right around the holidays, maybe a little bit after. That means you have easily met that scholarship deadline and you will get this scholarship provided that you meet all of those other requirements. So if you're a Kentucky resident, let's say, and you have a 3.60 GPA, you would fall under that distinguished transfer category of 3,000 per year for up to 2 years. Now, if you're asking, well, why would an out-of-state student get more than an in-state student? It's because for non-online programs, it's because the tuition for out-of-state, of course, is higher than tuition for in-state. So that scholarship is a little bit more to try to help offset that a little bit. But keep in mind, and you'll learn about this at other points today, I'm sure. And if not, one of the moderators could pop that into the chat. The tuition for online programs, fully online programs, is the same whether you're in-state or out-of-state. So just make sure you know there's no in-state or out-of-state tuition if you're in a fully online program. Now, we do have two competitive scholarships. So let me back up and say something about these that I forgot to mention. These scholarships you don't have to apply for or compete for, right? So if you meet the requirements and you get admitted in time, meaning you're getting admitted before the scholarship deadline for these, then these are, I don't want to use the word automatic, but essentially if you're admitted well in advance of that scholarship deadline, I personally haven't seen anyone not get these if they've met every single requirement and are admitted early enough. So you can think of them as automatic if you do everything early and get everything done on time. So you don't have to apply for these or compete for these. These, however, you do have to apply for and compete with other students for because they are competitive transfer scholarships. So the one on the left, the trustee scholarship, you have to have a 3.5 GPA. That's the minimum GPA requirement. You have to have earned an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science from a KCTCS school. So that stands for Kentucky Community and Technical College System. And you must transfer in a fall semester. So one thing to also add, sorry, I had to get a sip of coffee. One thing to also add, when it says there, have to have earned an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science, that means you have to have earned that by the time you are starting here at UK. So you can still apply for these even if you're within your last semester. For example, let's say next spring is your last semester at BCTC or Somerset Community or wherever. You can apply for those now because the scholarship, or apply for those in the spring because the scholarship office will check and make sure you completed that associates before they start reviewing these. So you don't have to wait until your associates is complete, and you wouldn't want to wait anyway because that wouldn't be completed till May, and then you're cutting it a little close there for those scholarships. So if you get one of these, that actually covers the difference between UK and your KCTCS tuition. So for example, if you're a Bluegrass community student and you get one of these, you get to pay BCTC tuition for 2 years here in UK. So on the other side, the PTK scholarship, that stands for Phi Theta Kappa. That is the Community College Honor Society. And as you can see, it's the same GPA threshold, 3.5. You don't have to have earned an associate's for this one. You have to have earned at least 48 credit hours though, right? So roughly 4 semesters of, 12 credit hours would get you this, and you must transfer in a fall semester. Now this one, if you get it, excuse me, covers full in-state tuition for 2 years. You can see that link there at the bottom if anybody in this Zoom wants to take a picture of that with their phone or take a screenshot, pardon me, with your laptop. You can go to the scholarship office and they have a virtual appointment link on there for the financial aid and scholarship office, and you can talk to them more in depth about these and how these apply to online students. We always recommend students reach out directly to the offices that specialize in various things because here in the admissions office, we know a little bit about these, but the scholarship office is going to know much more in-depth information about these. So you always want to do your due diligence and reach out to the pertinent offices on campus. We do have multiple other opportunities for scholarships on campus as well. The Parker Scholarship, different college and departmental specific scholarships. So, for example, the College of Social Work has scholarships specific to transfer students. The College of Engineering, the same. The College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment. There are dozens and dozens or more of scholarship opportunities at UK. And once you're admitted to UK, then you're able to apply for those. I say that because I have a lot of students ask, why can't I apply for scholarships yet? I can't find out where to do that. And then I look them up and they haven't even applied to UK yet or haven't even been admitted yet. You have to apply and be admitted to UK to get the login to apply for those things. I'm going to skip this one. That's not going to be relevant for online students. Education abroad. So if you are admitted into UK as an online student, definitely ask your advisor about the education abroad experiences, or excuse me, opportunities within your college. We don't have a lot of online students who express an interest in this, but online students are not precluded, from participating in study abroad if it's offered through the college that houses their major. So definitely at least discuss this with your advisor if that is something that you are interested in exploring. So the Career Center at UK, this is open to online and in-seat students. And just to reiterate something about that, there you are a UK student if you're a fully online student. So you never have to think, well, I can't take advantage of tutoring or the career center or things like that because I'm an online student. That's not the case, right? That is not the case. You want to reach out to any of these offices on campus and ask them how they can accommodate you if you're an online student and you're not living near campus, for example. They are very inclusive of online students in these offices. They'll do a virtual appointment with you and they will be more than happy to accommodate you in any way they can, regardless of how you're taking classes. The Career Center is the same. They offer career advising. They do mock interviews, which is my favorite thing they offer. It's so important to take advantages of things like that because, of course, you come to UK to get the degree, but you want to get the degree to get the job you love, right? You want to get your dream job. So getting the degree is only part of the journey there. You want to be prepared once you get that degree to do really well in those interviews because we help you all the way there. But when you're in that interview chair at that point, that's you taking over and that's you having control of how you do in that interview. But what we want to do is help you develop the skills, the interviewing skills to do super well once you're in that interview chair. That's where those mock interviews come into play. Um, they will run you through the ringer. This is a good thing. They'll run you through the ringer with mock interviews here, and that way you're getting those bumps and those hiccups. I'm using that word again, out of the way. And you're getting those mess ups out of the way during the mock interview process. That way, when you're out there interviewing, we've already ran you through the ringer and you're prepared. It's like practicing for sports, right? Practice makes perfect. You're not going to step out onto the field or out onto the basketball court and be a great player if you haven't practiced. It's the same with interviewing. You have to practice those interviews, and that's where we will definitely help you do that. We will be able to or ask you some of those behavioral interviewing questions, which are very commonplace these days in professional jobs. If you have not been through that kind of interview before and you're doing that kind of interview for the first time, never having practiced it, never having taken advantage of the Career Center, you will not do well. I'll tell you that from experience because I made the mistake of thinking I would just waltz into that interview and just knock them dead. I was sadly mistaken. You know why I was mistaken? I did not take advantage of my university's career center. I wish I had. So then I had to like scramble and do a lot of this on my own. I Googled like the top 50 common interviewing questions and I just practiced them on a flashcard. It took me a long time to get good at interviewing. Whereas if I had just taken advantage of this when I was a senior at Morehead State University, I very well may have done much better in that first interview that I actually bombed. They'll also help you with your resumes and cover letters and things like that. We have a multitude of student services at UK, as I was alluding to. The Counseling Center for students taking 6 hours or more, um, the Disability Resource Center, the Veterans Resource Center. Again, reach out to any of these offices and let them know if you want to meet with them virtually. Since you're an online student, they will be more than happy to accommodate you. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but suffice to say, a lot of student organizations do have um, meetings where they will meet like in a virtual capacity. So you want to reach out to any student organizations you're interested in. You can go to that website there at the bottom. And if you find a student organization that is something, excuse me, that is something you would love to join, reach out to that organization and let them know. Hey, I'm an online student. I would love to join your Shakespeare club, but I live in Kansas. Is there any opportunity for virtually meeting with you all at some point, or do you have any of your meetings in a virtual capacity? But some online students live here close to the UK campus, so you are in no way, shape, or form prevented from ever coming to campus and participating in any of these in-person things as well. So when I'm mentioning virtual opportunities, I'm thinking of some of those online students who are living hours and hours away and cannot travel to Kentucky just to attend a Shakespeare Club meeting. But if you are one of those online students who does live close to campus, then you absolutely can participate in any of those those on-campus meetings if you join one of those clubs. So I mentioned earlier, we do have a couple of free application days coming up. One of those is coming up in 8 days, December 12th. The other one, November 12th. The other one, December 3rd. So take a picture of this screen or just jot this note down, November 12th, or put it in your phone notes to pop up that day. If you apply on Tuesday, November 12th as a transfer student for spring, fall, or summer of 2025, you will not have to pay the $50 application fee because we go in the next morning and we automatically waive all of those for those students who filled out their application the day before. So essentially, you just ignore the payment screen at the end. So if anybody in this Zoom hasn't applied but wants to, November 12th is when you want to do it. Keep in mind, by the way, applying to a school and being admitted to a school is not committing you to that school at all. I frequently talk with students who say, well, I want to wait to apply because I don't know where I'm going to go yet. Well, you literally need to reverse that line of thinking. If you're thinking of 5 different schools, apply to all 5. You do not want to wait to apply. That's so important. Applying to those schools, getting admitted to those schools has not committed you to any of those schools. You're not committed to a school until you sign up for classes. So apply and get admitted, and then that buys you so much time to make your decision on where you ultimately want to attend. This is my information, my email address and phone number. Keep in mind the vast majority of the year, I would say really from September to April, I'm traveling almost every day, with the rare exception of a couple of weeks there in December. So email is always the best way to reach me during my travel season because I'm always visiting a community college. But you're more than welcome to call me and leave a voicemail. I just want you to know that sometimes it's going to take me quite a while to get to that voicemail because I'm just not on campus to get the voicemail. But my email address is definitely the best way to reach me. And then we can work together to set up a time to do a Zoom or a phone call. I'm happy to accommodate those even during the evenings if need be. But email is the best way to reach me during this time of year. I would like everybody to take a picture of this email address. We have 4 transfer advisors at UK. They share this email address together. They are the individuals you want to reach out to if you want to see how your classes from your previous school or schools transfer into UK. So it's simply uktransfer@uky.edu. Shoot them an email and say, hello, my name is Steve. I'm a student at BCTC. I'm interested in the online business degree. I wanted to see how my classes from BCTC can transfer into that degree and what I need to do to get admitted into that degree. They will help you do that. Furthermore, let's say Steve is not looking to transfer until next fall. So that means Steve's going to take spring classes at BCTC as well. They can help Steve make sure he's taking the right classes in the spring at BCTC to transfer into that business degree next fall. So I'm a big believer that every student needs to reach out to UK Transfer at uky.edu just to make sure they're doing all of their due diligence. Pardon me, that was a different presentation. So that is all of my presentation. So I wanted to see if anybody has any questions. And now I'm going to exit stop share and it should allow me to see any questions that were in there at the moment. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll up and just go from the top. So a question from Callan. Do you need to apply to UK online? Oh, I'm sorry, Misha. It looks like you already answered that one. So let me just make sure there are no unanswered ones. Okay, it looks like there are not for now, but If anybody does have questions, please pop them there into the chat, and I'm just gonna hang here and see if there are any, and I will be happy to answer them. And what I would love for some of you all to do, if you don't mind, is pop into the chat where you're from and what school you would be transferring from. Don't be shy. So let's see, Giovanni, I was being asked to give a course syllabus. Is that for every class or just for the specific program? So Giovanni, if you receive correspondence asking for a course syllabus, it would just be for that course that they ask for. It would not be for every single class. So I think I'm aware of what you're referring to. That was probably the equivalency officers that reached out and asked about that. So if they reached out to you and said, we need a syllabus for this course, Intro to Philosophy, I'm just making something up. And this other course, Intro to Interpersonal Communication, it's just those two courses that you need to get them the syllabi for. Yes, absolutely. And just to follow up on what I just said about that, normally when you're being asked that, it's because it's a course that doesn't currently have an equivalency at UK. And what that means is no student from that school has ever tried to transfer or ever applied to our school and wanted to have that course transferred in. So that just means it's not in our system. It doesn't mean you're not going to get credit for the course. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means they need to have the syllabus so they can determine what that UK equivalency for that course would be. And then it's built into our system forever. And then any other student in the future who transfers from your school and wants to transfer in that same course, we already know then what it's going to come in as. Yeah, could be, could be. Giovanni, I recognize your name. I think we've corresponded some via email, unless it was another Giovanni Washington, but I don't think there are two that I've worked with. So I'm almost positive we've worked together some via email. Oh, okay. Other questions for anybody? Please do not be shy. And you are, oh, thank you, Misha. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I always love taking part in this. Um, and one thing before I log out, um, another thing for y'all to take a picture of. I'm going to share my screen and show you one more thing. And I'm almost positive you'll have other ways today to get this information, but just so you can take a picture of this. Sorry here. There we go. These are our fully online bachelor's degrees. So take a picture of this or take a screenshot. Um, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Misha. I believe there are going to be opportunities today or during National Distance Learning Week to learn about some of these more individually. But these are the fully online programs we currently have at UK. So take a picture of that. And if you want to learn more about those specifically after today or after National Distance Learning Week, please shoot me an email, at that email address I showed you earlier, and I will connect you with somebody who works specifically in that program. So for example, I would connect you with a gentleman named Matthew Quarles for that online general business degree, or I would connect you with Tara Grana if you want to learn more in depth about the RN to BSN, or I would connect you with Maram Shabam for the BASW social work degree. So um, what we really like to do here is give you the general information up front, that general transfer information that I'm more the expert in, and then we connect you more specifically with people who work with those academic programs themselves so that they can really answer those in-depth questions and drill down specifically into the nitty-gritty of those programs since they work specifically with those programs. I always tell people we kind of know the recruiters like me, we know a little bit about a lot of the programs, but it's a little bit because there's so many programs here at UK. When we connect them with people who recruit specifically for those programs, it's like this. They know very in-depth information about that program themselves. So we kind of try to help you with that overall transfer and then try to connect you more specifically with people who work in those programs. And thank you as well. Reiterate Misha's thank you there, Callum. That's very nice of you to say. We definitely want to help make something that could be stressful much more manageable. That's what we strive to do here. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I hope you all have a great rest of the day and happy National Distance Learning Week. And remember, email me at any time and I'll be more than happy to help. Hope you all have a great day.